Look into my eyes. You are getting sleepy. You are in a trance. You will stop using foul language, Krista.
Let's get real. That's not happening. You have been warned. Content is not suitable for all listeners.
Welcome! You're listening to Bewitch Banter.
I'm Krista, and I believe that people are inherently shitty.
And I'm Amy, and I tend to believe that people are naturally good.
But ironically, I'm a super believer in the supernatural and all things spiritual.
And I'm a total skeptic.
We're best friends, and in this podcast, we're seeking to explore and understand each other's perspectives with deep dives into the spooky, the spiritual, the magical, and the mystical.
And some straight up spoofs.
Today, if you didn't catch on from our disclaimer, we are covering hypnotism.
Cheers!
Cheers!
Ooh!
And Amy's gonna take us through some history for History Hour.
Not so much history, actually.
Oh yeah, what do you got for us?
Because to be honest, the history is kind of boring.
Oh yeah?
Well, when I was
Put you to sleep? No
yeah.
pun intended.
Yes. More about what hypnotism actually is.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Before we dive in, though, I thought it'd be fun to start with a question.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to be hypnotized to quit something, what would you seek a hypnotist for? Like, is there anything that comes to mind?
I'd say instead of quitting, I would say to be more active and, like, I guess quit being lazy, if we want to put it that way. Like, get off your ass and just go to the damn gym.
Yeah, I feel like mine was all going to be about, like, being healthy.
Yeah.
Maybe, like, if they could, like, make me not like cheeseburgers and french fries so much.
Can we do that? Is that possible? Based on your research?
It's possible, but will it actually work is the question.
For me, probably. You know, I'm suggestible. So.
Yeah. I think I would like to be hypnotized to only have healthy habits, but then I think life would be kind of boring.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, shout out to my former neighbor in Connecticut, Marlene, who apparently was hypnotized in the 60s.
Oh, that's right.
Like,
what'd she say again?
What'd she say? It was like she was like a religious monk or something, seeing visions.
We'll have to.
Yeah. Anyway, shout out Marlene. Sorry, we just saw your comment on that we were covering hypnotism. Yeah, sounds like you might have actually been suggestible. So, love to hear more about that.
Have you ever been to like a show where someone's hypnotized? Have you ever?
I actually don't think I have.
Okay. For me, my first I knew what hypnotism was through like the movies and everything else, but my real first experience was in college when I was a freshman. We went there like a week before like orientation, like to get acclimated, and they had all these like fun events, right? And one of them was they had a hypnotist come in front of like a huge theater, right? Like all of us packed in, and he had us all hold our like arms out. And he was like, he said something like visualize something. And he said like different things to do, right?
Okay.
And like for the ones, it didn't work on some people and then it worked on other people, right? And by that exercise, he picked people up and picked like a few audience members and had them come up and like hypnotize them. And did things like have them dance to Enrique Iglesias and like crazy stuff.
So wild dancing to Enrique.
Yeah.
Ow.
Well, I mean, it was like also sponsored by the college, so it had to be a little, I don't know if kid friendly, but you know what I mean? School friendly.
A little toned down.
So that is most people's probably experience when it comes to hypnotism. Basically where people go on stage and the hypnotist controls the person's behavior. And right away, from my research, was saying that is not real. That is not hypnotism, really. Okay,
so I don't know if you'll cover this, sorry, but in Get Out, where he's hypnotized by the teaspoon and the sound, is that real? Not real?
No.
Shit, really?
So
wow, that's because that was a huge piece of that movie, obviously. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah, and I think hold that thought because I'll get to it.
Okay.
It's going to make sense. Okay. There's a psychiatrist who studies the field, and I thought this was a great quote from the start. His name's Clifford Lazarus, and he said, "The truth is that stage hypnosis is essentially a theatrical performance and has about as much in common with bona fide clinical hypnosis as many Hollywood movies have with real life."
Okay, so no likeness at all to the real thing.
No, he's like, that is just an exaggeration. That's to get an audience, is to make money. That is not hypnosis.
Got it. And
from what I really gathered, hypnosis is probably one of the most misunderstood and controversial methods of psychological treatment.
And I didn't realize it was actually used in real psych treatment until we started this, to be honest, because I only thought of it as the entertainment.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like, again, the movies. That's what I always picture. And so for me, it was like, what exactly is hypnosis? Because obviously there's what I thought it was originally. And then after my research, I kind of walked away thinking it's something else. From the definition I found, is hypnosis is when someone's in like a trance-like mental state. And in this state of mind, they may have an increased attention span, concentration, and suggestibility. Some people describe someone as almost being in like a sleep-like state of mind, but it's actually the opposite, with people having more focused attention, heightened suggestibility, and vivid fantasies. And the hypnosis is used as, like, as you said, you didn't know this, but it's used as a therapeutic practice. Right. And they use as a way to like help people cope and treat from different conditions. Cool. Honestly, we've all experienced trance-like states when you think about it. So think about like when you drive to work and you can't even remember the drive because you're just like on autopilot.
Oh yeah, or let's say you move and you're going to your old route or whatever.
Yeah, or just like when you're watching Netflix and you're like, oh, I don't know what happened in the last 5 minutes.
Oh yeah,
or like,
that's a good one.
Or sometimes, hopefully people aren't doing this to us now, but I've listened to podcasts and I'm like, what if I listened to the past half hour?
Yeah, don't do that to us, guys. Sorry.
I'm going to focus more on is hypnotherapy. So is hypnosis and hypnotherapy the same thing? Kind of.
Okay.
But how they differentiate it, it's hypnosis is the tool that is used in hypnotherapy.
Okay.
And hypnotherapy is then using hypnosis as a therapy practice.
Got it. Okay.
And hypnosis has two main stages, which are often referred to as the induction and suggestion. During the induction, this is when the patient is told to relax, focus their attention, and they will be guided into hypnosis.
Okay.
This stage can last a few seconds or 10 minutes, or it can be an hour. It just depends how long it takes someone to get into that trance-like state. So back to Get Out, when she's moving the teacup and making that noise, that could be an exercise to help someone relax. Because that was like when you're watching the movie.
Yeah, he like got real sleepy.
And the sound was very relaxing. And anything like that. Watch the pocket watch swing back and forth. I don't think they actually do that in hypnotherapy, but it's more about how you can get people to relax. And they're telling you are focusing your attention on something.
Right.
And then during the second stage, the induction, the goal is to focus the mind and for the patient to focus their attention on the therapist.
Okay.
So the suggestion stage is when the therapist is talking and walking the hypnotized person through hypothetical events and different scenarios to help them address different behaviors or feeling. And then to reach hypnosis, so you got these stages, right? You want to work with a therapist or a hypnotist, and they're going to guide you through an exercise. And you're really, it's almost like meditation. That's what I was kind of finding. You're trying to find that relaxed state.
Yeah, like a focused, I mean, at least that's the little I've learned about meditation since I've only been doing it for a year. But yeah, it's like a focused state on the present moment.
Yeah, and hypnosis, to be honest, is not, I think it has that bad reputation that it's like, oh, we can control you and we can control you against your will. You're going to do outlandish things you never thought you would do. But that's really not it at all.
That's good to hear because my story is going to touch on that.
Yeah, and it's honestly just like meditation, but it's more like a therapist is guiding you through the meditative state. And it actually, they've had scientists show that it lights up different regions of the brain, an activity. And the part of the brain it impacts the most is the part of the brain that perceives pain and regulation. And it actually, being in that trance-like state, it quiets down the region of your brain that processes emotions and like sensory.
Okay.
Probably when you're in a like trance-like state, you're not picking up on all the things that are happening so much around you. And you're really in the moment. There's people who think hypnosis doesn't have any impact and it's all placebo. Mm-hmm. And from what I gather, how can you really prove someone's being hypnotized?
Right, because their reality is their reality.
That, and also there's no proof. Like, you can't be like, oh, watch the video, I was hypnotized.
Right, because they could be acting.
Yeah, so it really comes down to, do people want to be hypnotized? Mm-hmm. You can't, no stranger can, if you are not susceptible and open to being hypnotized, you can't be hypnotized. You have to be willing. And the reason I say that is because they believe like only 20% of people seem to have like what they call a large response. And
what does that mean? What that means?
That they really are receptive to when they're being hypnotized, that they're actually responding to what their therapist is telling them.
Okay.
Most people don't respond to it. And I really think it comes down to if you walk into the room believing in hypnosis to begin with. If you don't believe in it, you're just going to sit there and think this is dumb.
Right.
They do believe, though, children are more easier to hypnotize.
Sure.
Because they're obviously more imaginative and more willing to believe.
Yep.
I think it comes down to almost like it's like almost if you go see a medium.
Yeah, or like I was just going to say children believing in ghosts or seeing ghosts.
And any therapy, really. It's like if you're not open to the therapy and you don't believe in it, it's not going to have any impact on you. Because you have to go into therapy wanting to change. Yeah. And if you are sitting there and you're like, this is stupid, then it's not going to help you at all.
Yeah, I was worried about that with a family member of mine. And we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes.
And it's been practiced throughout all of like human history, right? Mm-hmm. And in ancient cultures such as like Persia, Indian cultures, Chinese, Egyptian, Greek, and Roman. And in Egypt and in Greece, sick people would often travel to what they called a sleep or dream temple to be cured through hypnosis.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. And then in ancient India, they practice all different types of hypnosis, what they call sleepwalking, dream sleep, or ecstasy sleep. I was like, get me on that sleep. Me up. I was like, sounds like you just woke up from like a bomb ass dream. And it's not like, you know, when you have like, you wake up and you're just like fully rested and you have that amazing feeling. I was like,
God, I haven't had a good night's rest in a minute, but yes, I do know.
I know. I've been popping melatonin gummies like crazy.
Nice. My sister gives that to the kids. Works
I took
good.
I was like wired last night, so I took like 4.
Damn.
Probably why I was late to hang out because I slept in.
All good.
Some of the earliest recordings of hypnosis have been discovered on ancient Greek papyrus dating back to 1550 BC.
Damn.
So in other words, it's been around for more than 6,000 years. I thought it was really interesting, too, that they actually have found cave paintings. And they believe it's images of priests like in a trance-like state. And they, in the cave paintings, are actually like depicting different visions of like altered levels of consciousness.
Oh, cool.
And I guess they have they use like geometrical shapes to show this. I don't know how the hell they figured that out.
I always wondered that with hieroglyphics too. Like, how the fuck? I know there's Rosetta Stone, but it still doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's
how
cool,
they
though.
Still figure that out.
And I thought this was really interesting and makes total sense when you think about it. But in the Middle Ages, they believed that kings and princes could heal people through hypnosis. And they would call it the royal touch.
Oh.
And then there's countless people who have laid the groundwork for hypnotherapy today. We have James Baird, Jean-Martin Charcot, Ivan Pavlov, Sigmund Freud, and Milton Erickson.
Okay, and like, so is same Pavlov as Pavlov's dogs, I'm assuming?
Yes, same. Okay. And Erickson is pretty popular through education, and then Sigmund Freud.
Okay.
And to be honest, I didn't include it because it wasn't the most exciting information.
Well, listen.
I was like bored reading it. So I was like, I would be bored retelling the information in the podcast.
Listening would be, I'm sure.
So I decided to edit that part out because it was like a long, how did we get to hypnotherapy?
Sure.
And there's several different types of hypnosis that I'll be covering.
Okay.
So the first one is going to be your traditional hypnosis. And this is probably the one that we all visualize when we hear that word.
Okay.
So this type of hypnosis relies on commands that are given to you when you're in a hypnotic state, and it can impact how one behaves, and it can change how you feel about something or what you're thinking about. So kind of think about, like, that's probably more traditional for someone who's like, I want hypnosis to stop smoking, stop drinking, or any kind of addictive behavior.
Sure.
That's probably more the hypnosis that they would seek therapy for.
Okay.
And then we have Ericksonian hypnosis, which I mentioned earlier, and it's named after Milton Erickson. And some Phoenix pride here. He's from Phoenix.
Get it? PHX.
And he's actually considered the father of hypnotherapy.
Okay.
And instead of using commands, this type of hypnosis relies on storytelling, metaphors, and indirect commands. And the reasoning behind this is that I thought this was interesting. They think that people will be more susceptible if there's indirect commands than someone like who's telling them directly what to do. It's a more gentle approach.
Got it.
And they'll internalize it and basically just be more willing to be open to it. Because no one likes to be outwardly told what to do.
No, you know what? Listen.
No, we all hate that, right? And this would be the type of hypnosis they tend to use on people who are more skeptical.
Okay.
Because,
so you.
Yeah, someone like me. Because it's going to be, obviously, if you, like someone comes in, they totally believe in hypnosis, then there's not that, what do I want to say, like the barrier to use that therapy. But if you have someone who doesn't believe in it, you kind of have to, like they said, kind of a more... almost like a workaround.
Yeah.
Like you're sneakily getting hypnotized. Then we have cognitive behavioral hypnotherapy, and this is commonly used to help someone create more positive thoughts or change their behavior for the better.
Okay.
And this type of hypnosis uses different psychological methods, like such as working on your imagination and like looking at different future ideas and kind of like how you envision those yourself to act in those situations, but like how would you do that in a better way than you normally would approach a situation?
Okay.
So it'd be
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and it's usually used for someone who has like anxiety,
anger management.
Yes.
Whoops.
That was one. This will be interesting. Depression, because I'm sure you look at everything with the lens of a little bit in a negative way. And then it can also help physical ailments such as IBS.
Okay.
And the reason I'm saying that...
we know why. You're familiar.
Krista had to deal with someone who had a lot of IBS issues.
Oh, for 15 years, good Lord.
And then pain management... and it also helps kids who frequently wet their bed.
Okay. Nice.
And this one's another one where they use it for weight loss.
Sign us up.
I know.
Sign me up. Let me speak for myself. You're tiny. I'll sign up. Yeah. What's this one called again? For short, they call it CBT. So CBT, but it's cognitive behavioral hypnotherapy. Okay.
And it's probably like visualizing yourself...
You're laughing.
Visualizing yourself like eating a carrot.
I see myself, hot girl summer on the beach in your floaty on a pool.
I visualize myself at the gym working out.
I just visualize myself skinny with no work put in. Is that possible? Magic?
That would be nice. And then regression hypnotherapy is when a hypnotherapist has you revisit your past, and the goal of the practice is to find the underlying reason for an issue or problem you are currently experiencing.
Okay.
And this can help people understand why they have developed like certain phobias or different fears. Traumas. If someone's having intimacy issues, it can help alleviate relationship issues, because we all know like sometimes when you're having a fight with your partner, you're not really fighting about them not doing the dishes. It's
never. No.
It's like the bigger underlying theme that you need to have the conversation about.
Trigger.
Like they don't.
Yeah. Right on. Whoo.
And they often use this for people who, and I'm sure they're probably having anxiety, but people who are consistently feeling guilty or shame. They're experiencing shame.
Okay.
And they can't figure out why.
Okay.
And I could imagine this might be for someone who might be like a victim to like abuse or sexual abuse, because that causes people to have a lot of shame. Yep. And then even if it happened at like 10 years ago, they might still be dealing with these things. And it's like, for the whole practice is really to figure out why you have these feelings.
Yep.
And what happened in your life to make you have this feeling.
Got it.
And this therapy does have its limits, and it's considered to be very controversial compared to the other ones.
Okay.
And the reason it's so controversial, I thought this was really interesting, is because sometimes it can trick people into creating or fictionalizing memories of the past that don't exist.
Okay, that is something I need to talk to my therapist about, but that reminded me that there have been some things in the work I've been doing that have come up, and I don't know if I'm making them up or not. And I think I need to go work through that.
No, I think that's interesting, because I think sometimes everyone has certain behaviors in their life and they're like, why do I do this? Mm-hmm. And it's like human nature to always want to pinpoint and give an answer to why you do something. And I can see how this type of therapy, if they're leading you through all these exercises, how people could start making up fake memories or starting to believe something happened to them. Yeah. And maybe it might be the way like the hypnotherapist is like prompting them and asking them questions. Mm-hmm. Where almost in your mind's like tricking you like, oh, this happened. I just think that's really interesting. And the reason it's so controversial, because several people have came forward and said that they remembered being abused, or they relived some trauma that they found out later on that was just a memory they made up during the practice.
Wow. I could see why that's controversial and hardcore. That's,
And my last one is solution-focused hypnotherapy, which is a mouthful. And it's going to be when someone focuses on their current situation and decides what they want their future to look like. So to me, it sounds like a fancy vision board.
That or meditation again.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
And during this type of therapy, people will focus on creating goals that are often guided to find solutions to any current issues they are facing. And this one they call therapy client-centered, because the client is the one finding the answers more than the therapist being the facilitator and guide, giving them the answers. Where most of the other hypnotherapy, from my understanding, it's more the therapist leading it and giving you the answers to your problems.
And thereby being suggestive.
Yeah. And like reframing your mind.
Huh.
So I like that. But really, it's not what people think it is. No one can tap you on the shoulder and make you hypnotize.
Right.
From what I'm studying or what I looked at, it's not, hypnotism's not what we think it is as a culture. Yeah. Like, do you think people can be hypnotized? I think people can be manipulated.
I think so too. This is one of the things I've never actually, in my woo-woo-ness, I've never really looked into or even thought about really. I just, I don't know.
I don't think hypnotism is as sexy as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it's
just a different form of therapy. I thought for me it was going to be like all these interesting stories, and then I kind of read about it and I'm like, it's kind of boring.
You're welcome, guys. You're welcome. Please put us to sleep.
It's not the sexy, like, tap them on the shoulder, they do crazy stuff. It's really just, are people wanting to work on themselves? That's really all what it's about. And it's just a different form of, like, meditating.
Would you do it?
Yeah, why not? I don't have anything against it.
Cool.
But I did find, like, when I was doing my research, a lot of, like, the websites I was landing on were kind of sleazy. Like, I felt kind of...
I saw that, too.
I felt like, for me, when I was doing my research, it was really hard for me to find websites and information that wasn't a sales pitch on why I should try out this type of therapy.
I found the same thing, because I was going to cover this one doctor, and it was clearly a video for signing up for his workshops. And I was like, nah, I'm cool, bro. Bye.
Yeah, and I kept going back to my resources. I'm like, is this actually what hypnosis is? Or are they just trying to sell me on how great it is? And honestly, there's all the, like when I pulled it up, it's like, lose 60 pounds with this type of therapy.
Oh, yeah, weight loss and the wellness, of course.
Yeah, and like, like for any addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, because there's no science backing up that it really works, I feel a little bit like I could see it opens up the playing field for people to get taken advantage of.
Oh, definitely.
I guess that's where I get worried. It's like, from what I went over, I don't think it sounds bad, but you need to find a reputable person you trust who's not trying to take advantage of you.
That's the hardest part, too. And like, then I get it back into the when the therapist is the suggester, which is, you said was the majority of them, that's problematic. You know, case in point, people making up traumas or memories that didn't happen. And yeah, I need to check into that, because I've been having some things that have been coming up in the work I've been doing. So
at the end of the day, if it works for people, it works. But it sounds like it's such a small percentage, only like 20%
right
of people actually believe they're hypnotized. And then I kind of think, I don't know how to say this nicely. Are they going to be the kind of people who would buy anything?
Oh, yeah.
Believe anything. They're easily fooled.
Me.
So I feel like there are like...
No more. No more. Thanks to this podcast. No more.
It might be like people try to have a quick fix, but I don't think life works that way.
Right. No, you got to put in the work, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be willing, and you got to, then once you're willing, you got to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
That shit's hard. That's the hardest part, as we know. So... No, good job.
Okay.
I think I would do it to lose weight.
I mean, I'm willing to try. I'm open to anything. If it's going to make me a better person, like I've said several times, why not try
Absolutely.
it? But I wouldn't want to pay for it. I think that would be my thing. Right. I would do it for free. Actually, that reminds me. So I knew this guy in college, and I would definitely call him a megalomaniac, right? He was insane, and he had the biggest ego, and I've mentioned him before. He's the guy who always had to talk about how smart he was.
Oh, yes.
He's a very toxic person.
Yes.
But my friend started dating him, and he thought he could hypnotize people.
Oh, no.
So he would hypnotize her, and she said she would just play, like she liked him enough just to pretend the whole time.
Whoa.
And then one time I allowed him...
Okay, tea, fill it. Let's go.
One time I allowed him, because I had a few drinks, and he's like, I can hypnotize people. And I was like, okay. And then I was like kind of tipsy at the time, and I was like planning along. And then after 10 minutes, I was like, how do I make this stop? This is really weird.
Huh, so you didn't feel it? Or you just
I didn't feel anything.
Okay.
He was like, you're going to say this after me. And then...
They were just like, F you, I'm out.
Yeah, this is it was bizarre.
It's bull.
Yeah, but I guess he had like a sexual like fetish, and he would like try to hypnotize and control my friend all the time.
Oh no, that's called abuse.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what that is.
And then she would just play along. So it was like totally messed up. But that to me was like, I was like embarrassed for him. I'm like, you think you can hypnotize people?
Wow. Why didn't anyone just like punch him in the dick? Just be like, or kick him in the dick? Like,
I don't know.
Sit down, too. Like, no, bye.
I mean, basically, I think if anyone says they can hypnotize you, run. And don't buy their bullshit. That would probably be my story, my end of, like, what I'm trying to say.
No surprise. On topic with our resident skeptic, I would try it for, like I said, weight loss and getting my ass to move. But other than that, I'm not paying for it either.
I wonder if you could like ask your therapist what she thinks about it.
Yeah, actually I will next time I see her. It's been a minute. I need to make
that would be. I would just be curious to hear what actual like licensed therapists think about it, or is it something they all look down on?
Well, there's EMDR, which is a newer form of therapy which someone we know was doing. Don't know if they still are or not, but
what is it?
Emotionally eye movement desensitization and reprocessing is what it stands for.
Okay.
And so I think the therapist takes you through some type of meditative state, I believe, or like hypnotic state. I'm not really positive on the terminology, and then then you walk them through the past trauma of whatever it is you're trying to work through, and you reprocess the trauma in your mind as a positive thing or a past thing that you
Okay, so it sounds very familiar to hypnosis.
Yeah.
I don't really see a difference.
I don't know if they use like the talisman or whatever, the tool, to get to that state. But from what I understand from that person, it was working.
Cool. I mean, whatever works for you, I guess, works.
Yeah, so...
And placebos work.
Oh, absolutely. And shit, yeah, exactly. If, like, it works for you, it's placebo, who cares? It's working, you know?
That would be a whole fun episode, too.
Placebo, yeah.
We should do that.
Shout us out if y'all want to hear that, because I'm interested.
On Thursday, do you want to preview what you're covering?
Yes. Unfortunately, could not find another good guy this time around. Kind of a creepy man in power, no surprise, taking advantage of younger people via hypnotism. And, yeah.
So mine is about in Indonesia and Malaysia, there is like a rise of criminal hypnotists. And it's like...
Whoa. Criminal being like
they're executing crimes through hypnotizing people.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Okay, well, shit, I can't wait to hear it. I didn't get too specific, but it's essentially really upsetting because it's a principle in the academic setting that uses the power of suggestion to hypnotize students. Or had.
Ooh, interesting.
And
I like it.
There's some crime involved.
As always.
As always.
Okay, well, listen in on Thursday. Thanks for listening.
Please rate, review, and subscribe. And follow us. And we are also now actively on TikTok.
Well, we posted one video, but yeah.
Hey, it's a big deal for me.
We had to YouTube how to do it. It was hard.
We old millennials, okay? Give us a break. Peace, Bewitches.
Peace. Before we let you go, please check out our friend John McDonald's Not So Random Rant podcast trailer. I hope you enjoy.
How you doing out there, everybody? This is John McDonald in the Not So Random Rant podcast, where I'm going to share some of my random thoughts, rants, general nonsense, but sometimes useful information for your listening entertainment. I hope you enjoy and have a beautiful day.
Thanks for listening. Check us out on Instagram or bewitchbanter.com. Suggestions for the show? Email us at bewitchbanter@gmail.com. Credits, music Phantom Fun by Jonathan Boyle from premiumbeat.com. Podcast, edited and produced by Krista Hins and Amy Holt. As always, if you enjoyed, please rate, review, and subscribe.